Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. If you've never been to prison, especially the California Department of Corrections prison system, none of this, what I'm going to say, is going to make any sense. I am no expert in CDC politics, but I've done time in a couple of their institutions, and I'll give you the best breakdown that I can to what may have taken place and what will eventually take place. All right. A few hours ago, we got initial reports that Tory was stabbed in Tehachapi. He's in Tehachapi. It's up in the mountains. It's basically, I think it's Interstate 58 going to Vegas if you're going to go through the mountains from California to Vegas. There's two ways to get to Vegas. You can take the long way through I-5 south all the way down to LA, cross over, or you can take 58 west through Tehachapi through the mountains. Okay, so he's in the mountains. So when we got the initial reports, he was hit up. I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think it was anything Rock Nation related or Megan Thee Stallion related. I thought it was an inmate looking for clout, because a lot of times if you are a high profile person that is in general population, Gen Pop, there will be inmates looking to get a stripe or some points for hitting a high profile target, which would be like a Tory Lanez. So then we got an updated about how bad his injuries were. Initially, they were saying they were not non-life threatening, but he's in critical condition. So here's what they're reporting. Initially, this is what happened. He was stabbed 14 times, 7 wounds to his back, 4 to his torso, 2 to the back of his head, and 1 to the left side of his face. Both of his lungs collapsed, and he was placed on a breathing apparatus. He is now breathing on his own despite being in pain. He is talking normally, in good spirits, and deeply thankful to God that he is pulling through. He also wants to thank everyone for their continued prayers and support. Now, I've seen multiple shankings, stabbings, hits. God, thank God I've never been on the victim on the opposite side of those hits or whatever the case may be. But you'd be surprised at how much damage can be done from a stabbing weapon, a piercing weapon. Okay, now we got an update on who may have greenlit the hit on Tory Lanez, and it's being reported it's the Mexicans. Now, this is very, very problematic, because if we're just going to take this from at surface level, baseline prison politics, that means the Mexicans had already greenlit the blacks for a hit. They just got Tory because he was easier to get and a higher profile target. So let's take a listen to what's being reported now with what's going on in Tehachapi.
This morning, brother, the Mex came out and bust on the boy Tory. They airlifted him and all that. So that's gonna respond when we come off this shit. We're gonna respond the right way to that.
They laid the yard down.
No, it happened in the building.
What?
Okay, so when he said we had to respond to that, that means a race war is coming. That means the blacks going to have to respond to the Mexicans. They're going to have to retaliate against the Mexicans. Normally what happens in race war, race riot situations, they tend to lock all the prisons down. Normally hits come from up top. So the main institutions like San Quentin, Folsom, if the reputables up there green light somebody in the lower level prisons, or just in the southern prisons per se, then what the CDC will do is they will lock everybody down. So I could be somewhere in a prison just chilling, and then word up top gets sent. Somebody needs to get hit. Somebody gets hit at another prison that has nothing to do with my prison per se. We will all get locked down to prevent a race riot spreading throughout the prison. So if what this young man is saying is true, that the Mexicans did greenlight the blacks and Tory just got caught up in the middle and he was an easy target, the blacks will have to respond. Doesn't matter if you're blood crip or non-affiliate. Okay, all blacks. It's a race thing. They're all gonna have to get down. So definitely gonna have to get down to Tehachapi. Tehachapi, I would assume, has already been locked down, but the word has already spread to the other institutions, and they're either being locked down or in the process of being locked down, or there are retaliatory hits going off right now. Once again, I would assume if the Mexicans were given the green light, that would have to come from high up top. You just can't have random nobody's just starting stuff, because everybody pretty much wants to keep the peace because you don't want to mess up the drug trade. Okay, whatever the case may be, whatever businesses they got going on. Because once you go on lockdown, that's it. No commissary, no packages, no mail, no nothing coming in, nothing coming out, no money being made. So the blacks are going to have to respond in kind fashion or with overwhelming force. But we know the numbers game in the CDC, the Mexicans had the largest number, I believe, next to the whites, and the blacks have the lower numbers, and then the Asians, and then the Paisas are behind. So let's continue with this conversation.
What was it over? It was over some. What he had did he have a debt, a gambling debt or something?
Nah, nothing like that. Shit, we don't even really know. We don't even know the whole situation, you know.
So it was just like some foul play. So it's finna be up.
Yeah, it's for sure with some foul play.
Okay, another scenario that could happen is this could have been some random random Mexican YNs that just kind of saw an opportunity to get some points. The older reputables, Mexican reputables could respond and say, hey, no, that wasn't us, and offer these guys up on a silver platter to the blacks to avoid further retaliatory hits throughout the prison system. So I couldn't even tell you what I think happened. I would hope the most peaceful outcome is, you would hope it was just some random Mexican YNs that just saw a moment to earn some stripes. You would hope the older reputable Mexican elders would step in and say, nah, y'all can't do that, DP them, and then also give them to the blacks for recompense. That's what you would hope would happen. I would hope this is not from up top, from the big dogs, and Tory got caught up in the middle, and now we're gonna have a bunch of stuff go down in the CDCs with the Mexicans versus the blacks. Okay, because now on the Mexican side, La M, I don't think the Aryans would jump in per se if it's just strictly blacks on whites, but then you can't trust the ABs as well, because they feel the need to get into, and then the Peckerwoods might jump into it. But as far as the blacks, Blood Crip, if you're black, you're going to get your boots up and get into this. And maybe up north, Norteños usually side with the blacks, but then over the last couple of years, Norteños have kind of said, nah, we're going to go with our own kind, with the Mexicans. So the blacks may be on the island on their own with this one, but nonetheless, they're going to have to respond quickly. Or if this was some Mexican random YNs, the Mexicans will handle them before the blacks feel the need to retaliate. Let's continue.
Damn, cuz. Wasn't nobody right there with him when it happened? Wasn't nobody right there with him when it went down?
Yeah, I guess nobody.
And Tory should have never been left alone by himself, even though he's acclimating to prison population, prison life. He's too high profile of a person to be left alone. He should have had somebody watching his back at all times. No matter if he's a low level or a reputable, none. He's just too high profile to be let be by himself and not having someone watching his back at all times. That just should have never happened. But this is where we're at. So we're gonna, over the next couple of days, we'll see. As of right now, Tehachapi is locked down, if it's not on lockdown already. So we'll see. We'll get the updates and see what takes place with this. But once again, I hope the best outcome is that these are just random Mexican YNs that hit them up, and the Mexicans will take care of it. And I don't know, it's ugly all the way, because I hate for this to happen to Tory. Once again, getting stabbed, getting pierced, getting cut, it's probably one of the worst injuries, worst assaults you could take. I would rather get shot than stabbed. All right, so that's our update with Tory Lanez. Y'all have a good one. Peace.